Hello, good evening, good afternoon, this good morning. It is time for some talking of bollocks. Welcome back, welcome to the bollockiest podcast out there, nay, a bollocast. It's good to be back in your ears, as always. So in a packed show, we've got lots of interesting stuff coming up, and as always, we've got the intro. My name's Howard H. Smith. I am lead singer with UK thrash band Acid Rain, also a stand-up comedian, also do this podcast. Comedy, keithplatt.co.uk, Acid Rain, acidrain.co.uk, but who uses fucking websites anymore? You can find Keith Platt and me and this podcast and Acid Rain all on social media, wherever you care to find us, me, it, them, whatever. Come in, join the party. Welcome if you're a first-time listener. Welcome if you're a regular bollocker. Big shout out if you're a Patreon listener and listening to this before everybody else, because that's just one of the many things I do for you. Patreon.com/Howard H. Smith, $5 a month, get stuck in. Yeah, you get extra stuff, okay? I'm not going to mention it anymore. So, anyway, guys, it is great to be back. What a month it's been. It's been a whole month. What's happened in that month? Well, what's happened? First up, wow, Bloodstock. Download. No, I'm not going to talk about either of those. It's the 2 Slayer specials that I just put out. So did we all like those? Have you listened to them yet? Get stuck in. Had some really good feedback from those. And especially some great feedback and support from No Friender. Which is that's a weird kind of moniker, isn't it? No Friender, who you can get at the Thrash Metal Show. Excellent podcast, part of the When It Was Cool network. I've signed up for that for that shit, and it is great. The Thrash Metal Show, a 3-part podcast, right? A 3-parter just into the making of P Cells, but who's buying? I mean, that is pretty impressive. That is pretty damn impressive. So it's part of the When It Was Cool network. But if you just search The Thrash Metal Show and support my mate No Friender, who is doing sterling work there. Done a load of really good stuff about Slayer as well. Not as good as mine, obviously. But yeah, do check it out. Dude knows what he's talking about, and there's some really good stuff there. So if this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, you must be thinking, well, this is weird. This guy is doing an advert for a podcast that's got nothing to do with him. Well, get on board, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's got nothing to do with me that I'm going to be talking about. But not the first topic. First topic is Bloodstock. Managed to get down to Bloodstock and see a few people and make one very important connection. Introduced to somebody who I suppose is a bit of a hero. I'm a long time fan. Not a musician. Got to meet him, got to chat, possibly going to work with him in the future. So that's all I can say for now. That's a brilliant way to start, isn't it? Yeah, this person I can't tell you about. I met them. Great. Wonderful anecdote, Howard. Hope there's some more of those about. Well, probably the most interesting anecdote is Cookie and I finding ourselves stranded at accreditation, unable to get into Bloodstock. We were on Cannibal Corpse's guest list. We were told Cannibal Corpse haven't uploaded their guest list yet. They were playing on the Saturday. We were there on the Friday. We were messaging with the Cookie was messaging with the drummer, saying it's all sorted, but it wasn't sorted. So I managed to get hold of Andy Pilkington. He bunged me some numbers, got the number of somebody who's one of the main people involved with the festival organising it, rang up, spoke, told him what the problem was, said, okay, leave it with me. By this time, we've stood in accreditation for like 45 minutes and we're watching everybody come and everybody go. So there's Andrew O'Neill. He comes over, says hello, gets his accreditation, no problem, gives us a thumbs up, off he goes. And then this one took the biscuit. A bloke got out of his car, nearly got run over by his own car, got back in his car, put the handbrake on, came out, obviously wearing an Acid Rain t-shirt. He walks straight between me and Cookie, straight up to accreditation, gets his accreditation, walks straight between me and Cookie again, gets back in his car and drives off. I was like, yep, this is brilliant. Everyone's getting in, no problem. Saw Cy from Onslaught. He'd already played. Oh, great, covered in accreditation. Then Andy Sneap turns up, and the woman just says, sorry, all of Judas Priest's accreditation has been picked up. And he was like, right. So anyway, he soon got that sorted, but it was a great because it gave me half an hour to catch up with Andy, which was really cool, just talking about the whole priest thing. And he is going to come on the podcast and talk all about it. Come on, guys. Of course I've talked to him. Of course I've asked him to come on the podcast, but he's just too goddamn busy at the moment, and that is completely understandable. So, that is the way that's going. So, yeah, cool. Bloodstock was great. Had a good time. Good fun. And bands that I got to see who were good were Suicidal Tendencies, and who were good. I've not enjoyed Suicidal's last few times, but they were good. And Exorder, who were fucking brilliant. And I've got to say, when I say I'm not a fan, I don't know the old stuff. So it's not that I'm not a fan, it's just I don't know them. But yeah, they were absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed that. And just to go back to Slayer again for a minute, one thing I forgot to mention was that what has just come out after we've done all those Slayer specials, has just come out that, lo and behold, the Slayer farewell tour is being extended. Fancy that. Who would have guessed, that it'll be extended? Never mind. We guessed pretty much, me, No Friender, pretty much everybody, we all guessed that it was, not going to be the be all and end all. But there you go. So what's next? Well, next up would be my old friend, Gene Simmons, never out of the news. Gene is releasing a book on about rock star suicides, right? And this is a quote from the press. It's really about when you become rich and famous and everybody admires you, what is the thing that makes people want to destroy themselves, even to die? What is that? Simmons said. The rest of the world adores you and your fans love you and they give you money and fame and all that, and then you kill yourself. I don't get it. Well, that sounds like a promising book, doesn't it? I think if that's can you imagine that's the forward, I don't get it. Well, thanks for your input, Gene. Thanks for your thanks for your insight into the mind of somebody who is rich and famous and successful. You don't get it. Any chance you can stretch that out for maybe 1,000 words? Because to be honest, that paragraph, that's not a book. We need a little bit more than that. Okay, can I talk about myself a lot? Well, you can if you want. I figured you were pretty much going to do that anyway, Gene. So, if you want to do that as well. But I'm really interested in looking into the minds of these rock stars that, that become successful. They achieve their ultimate dream and then kill themselves. I just don't get it. Well, no, somebody who is obviously after eternal life, making sure that Kiss carries on after them. I'm sure you wouldn't be able to understand that, would you, Gene? Now just go and fuck off and write the book. God, imagine working for a publisher and dealing with Gene, eh? Imagine that. So, what else has been going on? Doug Aldridge, he who used to play with Ronnie Dio, has weighed into the debate on the hologram and basically said he's gone all the way. He's gone all out and said Ronnie would be pissed. Which obviously means he would be annoyed, he wouldn't like it. I mean, I think that's going a bit far to try and kind of, knowing the mind of other people when they're alive is hard enough. When they're dead, bit harder. So it has been revealed the final the cause of Vinnie Paul's death, which was chronic heart disease. Heart failure, so not a heart attack, but definitely heart related. What a sad way to go out. But having said that, I mean, packed more into his 54 years than most of us will ever pack into our lives. He lived the life, and unfortunately, you can't live the life and expect old age, unless of course you're Keith Richards, in which case then there's or Aussie, but they are the rules that prove the rule. They're the exceptions that prove the rule. Fucking hell, come on, Howard, get on it. And speaking of Aussie, wow, that was almost professional. I've done it, guys. I'm sorry. I have been caught. Yes, I have been caught by Aussie and Jack's Misadventures, the History Channel. I caught an episode and I just found myself watching it and just giggling away. Funnily enough, Jack wasn't in it. It was one with Kelly. And I remember watching The Osbournes when it first came out. Hey, yeah, shoot me. It was the first of that kind of thing. So, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm watching it all these years on when they're obviously grown-ups. Is actually quite kind of interesting, and Aussie is just fucking funny, man. He is just, so yeah. I mean, I'm hold my hand up. I am a sellout, if you will, but I really, really, really enjoyed the Aussie and Jack thing, and I've set the series to record, and I'm watching them, and I'll probably go back and watch some old series. So fucking fuck you if that's not if you don't think that's appropriate. Well, I do. So tough. I'm watching it. Okay, and I'm just saying, maybe give it a chance or not. It's entirely up to you. In the meantime, Ozfox of Striper has had a seizure. They're having to play as a three-piece. So I'm not quite sure what God's up to there, because they are, full on, absolutely, total God guys. Well, who doesn't know that? It's Striper. So I just think it's a little bit out of order. Because they've done sterling work for God. They've put the hours in. They've been the leading Christian metal band for decades, and you'd have thought you would have thought they would have built up some credibility, or some credit, I guess is the point I'm making towards them. Actually have some credit with the old dude upstairs or woman thing, whatever. But apparently not. It's not happening, and I just think that's a real shame. A real shame. And this might sound disingenuous, but when anybody from a band is struck down with illness, then obviously, clearly, it's not good. It's not a good thing. And I guess I was being a bit of an arsehole there, really, wasn't I? Just giving it the old, why hasn't God saved him? But then again, the thing is that people who believe, vehemently, also, when anything good happens, they tend to be, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Lord, thank you. So, this also seems appropriate that, the same forces have been at work here, and apparently this is not something to be celebrated. Maybe it's a test. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I honestly do not know. But look, best of luck. Health and fitness to all. Hopefully Ozfox will be back in Striper soon, spreading the word of the God who likes to give people seizures. No, sorry, done it again. Haven't really managed to not be an arsehole there, have I? Okay, so all the best to Ozfox of Striper. Hope you're back playing your limp-wristed, quiche-eating fucking Christian metal as soon as... That's as good as it's going to get, guys. That is as good as it's going to fucking get, I'm afraid. I'm really not going to be able to go much further than that. So, what else is on? Well, Crash Records in Leeds. I paid a visit when I was at home a couple of... about this time last week, actually, and got chatting to Scott in Crash Records, and it looks like he's going to be putting on not a Talking Bollocks live, but one of my spoken word shows, Tales from the Book of Thrash, basically an hour and a half, all about all the stories I can't tell on the podcast, secret thrash metal history, and all sorts of bits and pieces like that. I will keep you updated, but it does look like that's going to be happening in November. In Leeds, and on that same day I went to see Suzanne Vega at Leeds City Hall, which was fucking awesome. She was just brilliant. Loved it. Didn't get to meet her, which was a bit of a shame. I was hoping to catch up and say hi, but I sent her an email at the beginning of the tour saying, it'd be great to meet up, and if you'd fancy doing the podcast, that would be wonderful. Anyway, after the tour had finished and she finally got back to the States, I actually got an email from her, which was awesome. I was totally not expecting an email. And the irony of ironies, of course, is that it went into my junk mail as well, which is just fucking ridiculous, really. I actually went into my email, into my junk, and managed to get her email out and have a read. This is what she said. Hi, Howard. Sorry it took me a minute to realise you were the guy that did that cool cover of Blood Makes Noise. Anyway, hope you liked our show. Maybe next time, or maybe on the phone. So, yes, folks, I may be able to get Suzanne Vega on this thrash metal podcast. All right, how cool would that be? That would probably have to be a special, and I might save it for when we are looking at releasing Blood Makes Noise as a single. The Acid Rain update is drums are down and guitars are down. Bass is yet to go on. Vocals are yet to go on. There's still some polishing required on the drums and the guitars as well. But slowly but surely, it's coming together. By the next Bollocast, I will have been in the studio and done the vocals. So there will be a load of stuff going up on Patreon for people who've signed up there for Acid Rain. There'll be a load of behind the scenes stuff going up there, as there is at the moment. So you can sign up there anytime you like. Patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. But yeah, things are moving forward. Really, really cool with the album, and it's all coming together. Right, okay, that's enough of me jabbering along. Why don't we get into an interview? And straight up, I am going for David Davidson of Revocation. We've had Revocation on before. I'm going to discuss that in the interview when I had Brett, the bass player, on. This is David, who's who's basically the man behind the band. He is Mr. Revocation. I've got the album, the Outer Ones. It is absolutely superb. I mean, you're going to hear me go on about it here. But it's good it was good to catch up with David, which I did so just a few days ago. So here is my chat with David Davidson of Revocation. Hello there.
What's up, man?
All good here. How's things with you, dude?
Great.
Are you on the PR roundabout at the moment?
Oh yeah.
So how many times have you been asked about your favourite track on the new album, and how did you choose the producer? Have you got into that total rehearsed answer routine yet?
We've done the whole thing.
Oh really? Oh man. Well look, I'll give you a little bit of background. The podcast that I do is called Talking Bollocks. My name is Howard, as you know. I sing in a UK thrash band called Acid Rain, who were around way back in the day and came back a few years ago. I've done stand up for 20 years, and now I do this podcast as well.
Oh, great!
So hopefully we can just have a chat as opposed to me ask you all the usual boring closed questions about the new album.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And funnily enough, I did an interview with Brett a couple of years ago, I think, in London when you played on Halloween.
Oh, great! That was a fun show. I still remember that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't watch the fucking show. I had to do the interview and then leave and go and interview another band across town.
Damn.
But I also got to talk, which is kind of weird because Ash was filling in for you on that tour, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to so Ash ended up being in the interview as well. So I kind of got the first interview with the new lineup.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was, and I ended up talking. I think both Ash and Brett are kind of Bill Hicks fans, so I know we ended up going kind of completely off the grid and talking about comedy for about 15 minutes. So anyway, what are you up to at the moment? Are you just hard at it? Are you know how soon do you go out?
We go out like mid-September. Yeah. Right.
Okay. So you've got your last few weeks of enjoying a normal life, and then it's back to being a nomad.
Back into the chaos.
Yeah. But you love it, don't you? I mean, and you must do, because you're going out the gate and you're playing fucking everywhere through September, November, December. I mean, it's massive.
Yeah, we definitely love to hit the road. I mean, I like to travel and stuff like that, and obviously there's no better feeling than playing your new music live for people. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing, because often, deep into, getting deeper into a career, I do speak to a lot of people who are kind of like, oh, man, it's the traveling and stuff like that, and yeah, traveling isn't necessarily always fun, but the payoff and just the experience, I kind of think it makes it all worthwhile. And like you say, especially playing new stuff, because presumably, this is your favourite stuff to play. Your new album should always be your favourite album, so I'm guessing it is, I presume.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love all the music that we've put out, but at the same time, you play the same song every night for 30 shows, 60 shows, and you kind of want something new and fresh just because you want to do something different, So for the audience, it's new every night, right? But for us, it's like we played the same song like 100 times on a particular album cycle. So it's like, all right, cool. I'm down to hang this one up for a while, and it always can come back in the set at a later point. But yeah, I'm really excited to play a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, are you getting to the point now where you've got enough of a kind of catalogue where you can move the set around and bring something back and then maybe rest it and move something else? Or will you be kind of going, right, look, that's the set, that works, we're doing that?
So we like to organize everything like well in advance. That way we're not wasting time in the practice space, like being like, oh, let's try this one, let's try that one. I'd rather just get like a text thread going like a couple of months before or a month before, being like, okay, this is the set, everyone come in on these songs, and let's rehearse them. Because we don't have the luxury of getting together every week to practice. I mean, Ash lives in Vancouver, Brett and Dan are in Richmond, Virginia, so we're all kind of separated all over the place. So when we do get together, it's like, all right, like, I want to make sure everyone's sort of worked on the stuff that they need to work on. And luckily, everyone in the band, like, are really good musicians. Like, it's not like they're going to show up and not remember how to play the songs. Like, practice is more like for rehearsing the set, not for, like, remembering how, like, the verse riff to a particular song goes,
Yeah, yeah. I know the feeling. I mean, on a much smaller scale, we're based all around the UK, which which sounds laughable, I'm sure, to you, because we consider ourselves to be spread all over the place, but the UK is very small. But I know,
right.
I know exactly what you mean about you haven't got a minute to waste when you're in the room. You have to make the most of every single minute, and kind of just be really on it.
Yeah, and also for us, like I sometimes will use those rehearsals as time to write new music. Like, so I mean, obviously we're dedicating the majority of the time to rehearsing the set, but maybe there might be 10% of the time if I've got a new riff that's just stuck in my head and I need to like get it out, or if I've got a couple things that are put together and want to see how they might flow, I'll rehearse things with Ash or with Brad or Dan, like while they're there, just to kind of give them like a taste of like things that I'm working on, like that are coming down the pipe. And even if it's like 2 years from now, we're going to start recording the next record or more. Why not try to start fleshing some stuff out early, like just so everyone's familiar with like certain parts. So I'd rather focus my time on being creative for future endeavors rather than like, oh yeah, this is how the bridge section goes, sort of thing, So
have you already started doing that? So have you already started playing new stuff despite the fact the new album isn't out yet?
I haven't rehearsed any new stuff with the guys, but I've got like a few irons in the fire already as far as like riffs and stuff go. I just can't help myself. I don't know. Like if something comes to me like that I like, I want to record it. And it's weird. Like sometimes I'll start writing stuff when things are first kind of trickling out as far as like track premieres and stuff like that. It's inspiring to me to see the reaction from the fans because it's so overwhelmingly positive. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, maybe I will pick up the guitar and write a couple riffs today to see what comes out, just because you're feeling good. Like, oh hell yeah, like there seems to be a lot of good buzz around this. Like, let me see if I can put that positivity to good use on the instrument.
Yeah, and you can't turn it off either, can you? I mean, ultimately, you know, if you're in a mood to write, you got to do it. Just because you've got a new album come out, it's not a case of like, oh well, I don't need to switch this on again for another 12 months. Creativity really doesn't work like that, does it?
No, I mean, it's a beautiful thing when you're inspired, right? Like, wouldn't you want to try to capture that magic? Who knows where that kind of shit comes from? It's like, I don't know when it's going to come again, right? Like, I might go a month without writing anything cool. So if I can like sit down and write like 3 or 4 riffs in a session, might as well keep that going. Plus, I think it's one of those things where it's always good for your mind as a musician to be working on new things, even if they don't turn into riffs right away, just like kind of playing around with different concepts. Sometimes I'll have like an idea, like, oh, I like this grouping of notes, but I haven't figured out quite the rhythm that needs to go with it to make it really pop. But I'll revisit things and come back to things, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, like maybe you've been playing around with something just here and there over the course of a month or two, and then finally, like, you change the tempo on the metronome or something like that, and then it like fits right all of a sudden. So
yeah, so you might come up with the genesis of something that ends up being a riff, but it'll start out as something completely different, or just like you say, a collection of notes that you think would sound cool together, but the order can change and the structure will change over time, and it can end up being something that's far from the original idea. But that's the creative process right there.
Yep. It's like you're working with different themes or whatever. Like there's so many different approaches, and I find that the older I get, the more open to those different types of approaches that I am. Because this is our 7th record, right? So I always want to bring something new to the table. So however I can get myself into a mindset where I can be creative, I always like to embrace that and think outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, speaking of which, wow, the new album, man, fucking hell. That's just, that totally caught me by surprise. You've just gone, I mean, you haven't gone up a level, you've gone up a couple of levels. It is fucking intense.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That was the goal.
Well, I mean, and I look, it's your music. Far be it from me to disagree with your music. But I mean, I've listened to it a few times now, and for me, it is one hell of a progressive thrash album.
Oh well, thank you. See, for us, we kind of think about it more, I guess, as a death metal record. But I guess that's the beauty part about music is
absolutely
some people can hear different things in it. I can certainly hear different thrash elements to certain parts. I mean, we've always had both death metal and thrash metal components to our sound. It's just, to my ear, we've kind of ratcheted up the death metal vibes more. But if you're hearing thrash, then I argue with you.
Yeah, look, you know how it is, man. The minute that thing gets released, it's no longer yours.
Right.
it's and in fact it started already. It doesn't come out till the end of September, and I'm already laying it on you. But
some other publications were like, it's like the first single was black metal. So if they're hearing that influence in it, that's cool. I think everyone. It also depends on what the listener is checking out at the time, right? I mean, if you mainly listen to thrash metal and that's your sort of go-to genre, you're probably going to hear the thrash metal elements more intently. Maybe you're gonna focus on them because your ear is maybe more used to that. Whereas if you're more of a fan of death metal, maybe you're going to hear the death metal side of the sound more and more. I don't think you'll hear a polka side to the record.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. We all bring our own kind of bias to it. I mean, there's the three things that I've picked up. I'm still early days with the album, but it has blown me away. I mean, absolutely blown me away. And 3 things occurred to me. One, I hear early atheist in some parts because some of it's just so fucking crazy. And for me, I've always felt that I could feel Voivod in your music in the background somewhere. And I think that probably comes from some of the dissonance that in certain parts. But funnily enough, today I was listening to a track, I can't remember which one, and I was thinking your voice for a little bit of it reminded me of Chris Notaro, the Crumbsuckers vocalist. So I'm all over the map here.
Yeah, wow, that's a whole lot of different bands. No, that's cool. I mean, I love Atheist. We actually got to tour with them when they did their comeback tour.
Oh man, really? On the Jupiter tour?
I think that was the tour that they came back on. Yeah, so that was really cool. Like, I mean, I never expected to even see Atheist live, let alone to tour with them. So that was crazy when we got that phone call.
Oh man, that's like one of those phone calls where you're like, right, okay, this is what I'm in it for.
Oh yeah, and then Voivod, I love Voivod. Super interesting, very kind of spacey, but thrashy and aggressive at the same time. And for me, they keep evolving as a band. I mean, obviously, with them losing Piggy tragically, some bands can't come back from that type of thing. But with Dan Mongrain in the band right now, who's such a brilliant guitar player, he's really carrying on Piggy's legacy in a way that I think it's truly remarkable. Like to hear someone come in who's just such a fan of the band Voivod, who can then join the band and create new music and like I said, carry that torch that Piggy was carrying brilliantly and inspiring so many people. So
absolutely.
Needless to say, I love Voivod and I love Atheist. I'm actually not super familiar with the Crumbsuckers, believe it or not. They were never really a band that I spent a ton of time with. But if you can hear that influence in my voice, again, that's cool. That's something that you're bringing to the table that I'm not aware of, and maybe I got to check that out.
Yeah, or maybe that's just me bringing my bias to the table, and you'll be listening to it going, "There's no fucking way I sound like that guy."
No.
You never know. But I mean, Voivod for me, I've always thought they're the Pink Floyd of thrash metal.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not. I mean, it's a pretty obvious comparison to draw, given that they've played a couple of Pink Floyd covers. But it is. They're just kind of out there on their own. There's nothing like them. But their influence seeps through so many different parts of thrash, death, you name it. There's incredibly influential band.
For sure.
But that Atheist tour, man, that must have been. I mean, how long ago was that? That's going back a few years now.
Oh yeah, it was years ago. That was kind of one of our first, tours with bigger bands that we got.
But that must have been just super exciting. Were you direct support, or were you just on a kind of package?
I think it was a package. It was pretty early on in our career. I think A Life Once Lost was on it as well, if I recall correctly. Could be wrong though, but it was a good time.
Cool man. And how involved in like the process of putting the new album out are you? Are you kind of like all over the social media and everything else, or is it very much led by the label? I mean, I obviously the lyrical concepts for the album, seem to have all come from you, and I just wondered how involved you were with the actual overall aesthetic of the album and getting that out there, but also the social media side of stuff and everything else. Is that something you get involved with?
Yeah, I'm very involved with all that. I mean, when you're releasing a record, you want it to be sort of a complete sort of work, right? So aesthetically, like how it's being put out there. I mean, even just down to we went through some revisions with the layout of the CD, like the font on the cover. I was like, okay, make it look like this. It needs to look like at first it kind of looked like 8-bit, like Nintendo kind of lettering. And I was
right,
all right,
yeah,
that's cool. But I want it to be more like sci-fi, like more like have that old school sort of like that sci-fi feel that I might see on like a VHS tape or something like that, or that new movie The Void that came out recently. I like the look of the lettering on that, so I used that as an example. So I mean, I'm communicating directly with people at the label that are in charge of the marketing, that are in charge of the layout, that are in charge of. I mean, I handpicked all the vinyl colors myself. It was they sent me the website. And they're like, here's what we're thinking. I'm like, all right, let me go through and I'll choose. So I was looking at the album cover and being like, okay, I can see these colors in the album. Let me see if I can match it up with this weird spreadsheet kind of thing that's on these different vinyl websites. So like every single part of it, like to me, like feeds back into the vibe of the record. Like we've got like a space gray vinyl that's like this two-tone kind of translucent gray that's one of the vinyl options, and there's not really a lot of gray on the record, but there's one image of like the creature like eating this like rocky like moon-like planet, and I'm like, oh, that would be cool if I like just kind of honed in on this one little small Easter egg here on the record, and like we blew that up, and like now that's like its own vinyl option that we're only going to do like 250 copies of, and lo and behold, like we've got that in the web store. So that stuff is fun for me. Obviously, it's like work, and I think probably a lot of bands like don't, they're kind of down to just have someone else take the reins with that.
Yeah.
But for me, and it's like I can't really help myself. If I've got like a vision, I want to sort of see it through like every single possible angle that I can, just to kind of make it more immersive and more of like a special thing. And then as far as social media goes, yeah, I mean, I'm on my own personal Instagram and Facebook, like, posting about various things, like oftentimes band related, other times it's like, more like personal stuff or whatever. But I also run the band Facebook and the band
right.
Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that as well. So I'm posting on there. I mean, it's not just me. Sometimes like the label also has access to that. So if they're going to be posting, about like a promo deal or certain things, like they have access to that. But a lot of the content is generated by myself.
Yeah, no, I know the same feeling. I do the same for my band, and I mean, I think sometimes it can get a little draining when it's kind of like you've got to be posting at least once a day, and I can find myself kind of like being a fucking Hoover, just trying to like hoover things up to go to post in days to come, and and shit like that, because I think it's also, I mean, obviously you've got a new album coming out, but when between cycles, it's important to kind of keep people engaged. But it doesn't necessarily always have to be about the band. You can just put stuff out there that gets people talking. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's just fucking hard to figure out how to say things. Like how do I like say go listen to this track for like the fourth time on an album cycle or whatever, or like different clever ways to like be engaging. And I mean, sometimes like I'll take more time than I should, just like thinking about a certain way to like how can I caption this photo with something funny? Luckily like Dan's got a good sense of humor too, so I'll if it's something like on tour or whatever, like you want to put something out there that's going to maximize the impact. So like, all right, what the hell should we say about this photo of our merch guy like passed out, drunk behind his dumpster here? What can we? How can we caption this perfectly? I know, and the thing is as well, what I find is sometimes you put a post up and you think, oh man, that's really cool, that's really going to hit home, and it gets a kind of like average response, and then you spend no time thinking about something, you just throw something up there, kind of like, well, that'll do for now, and next time you come back, it's like, wow, people are going fucking crazy over this. Why? Yeah, it could be time of day. I mean, there's so many different factors. Again, I try not to think about it too much, because it's like at the end of the day, it's just social media and stuff like that. But it's more like okay, I'm going to be engaging with like potentially like 100,000 people here or whatever or more, just looking at like all of our media across like social platforms. Like how can I let me make sure that I can at least come up with something that's going to be, engaging and sound personable, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing that people want to take away from that, is like that they have like a direct line of like communication or whatever, like with the band, like that, like there's a certain aesthetic about how people like interact. I mean, some bands like are really great at social media, like much better than me. They're posting memes and this and that. Like I just don't really have a ton of time for that, but some people really, they can launch their whole careers just based around like how well they can navigate social media, and I mean, and now you've got people that just are famous just because of they're good at social media, like Instagram accounts that have like 100,000 followers, and they just like post a picture with a funny caption, and like that's
that's it. It's like a new form of comedy for some people, I guess.
Man, you've hit the nail on the head. In fact, you reminded me of I saw somebody on Instagram, and it was a sponsored video, and it was sponsored by McDonald's, and she was kind of basically saying, go into McDonald's and play this game next time you buy a burger, and you can win this. And I just thought, I've got no idea who this person is, so I just kind of
Who the hell is this?
Yeah. Well, it gets worse, right? I followed it. I followed through to her account, and she's got like 500,000 followers or something.
Right.
And the most recent post on her Instagram account was, so that was my last shift as a cleaner. Next year, I'm going to try. It's going to be my year to try and make it as a singer. And I'm like, this girl's a fucking cleaner. And she's got 500,000, and then I'm scrolling down, and she's been posting videos of her like performing cover versions in her front room of like various songs, and I'm just like, I don't understand. This girl is a cleaner who performs cover versions in her front room. She's got 500,000 followers, and McDonald's are paying her to run videos on her account. What the fuck has happened?
It's a weird world that we live in. Yeah, I mean, 500,000 followers is way more than Revocation has on our Instagram account. So that's or most bands for that matter.
You need to get your job. You need to get yourself a job as a cleaner, man.
That's so. Yeah, I did it all wrong.
Yeah, we're doing it all wrong. Fuck this trying to be creative, lark. Just be a cleaner and cover other people's tunes. And apparently, that's it. You're going to be made. It's insane.
It's a weird world we live in with the social media. Like I said, it's like you can get famous just based off of how well you can navigate it. And I've never seen this person sing before, so maybe she's really talented.
Absolutely, maybe she is. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess until you do your own stuff, unless she's just really crushing these covers. I mean, there's some talent to be said for that for sure. Like if you can replicate something well or put your own spin on something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I guess some people just hit it big with the social media. I mean, there's people that have gone on tour that are like YouTubers that there's freaking chicks that got 1 million followers, they just do their makeup on YouTube. That's their whole channel is them doing their makeup. So there's apparently a market for that out there. I mean, it doesn't interest me at all, but I mean, I guess that's for some people a form of entertainment. But
who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought that unboxing videos would become a phenomenon? I
know. That's why it's so funny watching that newest Who Is America character.
Yeah. Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, he's got like a whole spoof of that.
Oh man, I did some gigs with him way back 20 years ago. I did some gigs with him when he was first starting out.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. He used to be called the one-man Egyptian terrorist army, which of course, it was a long time, it's a long time ago. You couldn't pull that shit off now, right?
Right.
And he used to basically run on stage with a bag and say that he had a bomb in his bag. And this shit is definitely not flying like now, but back in the day, it was all right. So he used to run on stage with a bag and say that he's got a bomb in his bag. And sometimes it would go really well, and other times it would absolutely, for want of a better phrase, bomb.
Right.
But everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, it's taken it to a whole new level. But it's true. It's like unboxing videos and shit like that, and it's like. There's just no way that you can predict, and that's the thing about social media. I think there's no way of being able to predict trends. There's no.
Right. I didn't even know unboxing was a thing until I saw the spoof of it. You know what I mean?
Really?
I didn't even realize that was.
Right.
Thing. I'm sure you could look at any one of those videos, and it probably has millions of hits or whatever.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane. I've got like friends, kids of mine who are like They follow this guy, and every time a new phone comes out, he's the guy you want to watch. He's the best at this. And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking not getting this. Really not getting days.
I grew up playing video games, you know, but like now there's videos of people playing video games that you just watch, you know, like it's I don't know, it's a crazy world. I hope it doesn't, you know, breed this, you know, future generation of just like incredibly like vapid people that like don't have any like original thought, because everything is just so based around like Instagram and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. But you know, it's like what you do with it, right? If it's a tool, if you've got like great music or great art that you're making, you know, I look at it as like a tool. So I guess I try to see the benefit of it, right? Like, like here's like a great guitar player who's doing like really original stuff, and he's like putting a video of him like working on this new concept, and it sounds beautiful and amazing. And like I look at it like I'm just like a fly on the wall, like in his room or her room, while they're coming up with this really awesome idea, right? Or if it's like an illustrator and he's working on this awesome poster for this upcoming tour, or a progress shot for some of his own work, or a band's t-shirt or album cover, and like that to me is like, you know, super interesting. And I like being that like fly on the wall for like people that are really creating art and like pushing it, because you can be like a true artist and use like social media and stuff like that. Obviously it doesn't like detract from your art. If it's good art, it's good art. You can use, you know, why not amplify your voice to get things out there? I mean, we live in a capitalistic society. You have to commodify yourself in some regard. I mean, I look at it like, hey, the more money you can make off your art form, the more time you can, you know, dedicate to making more art, and not, you know, having to seek other sources of income, which so many people have to do. You know, like, I mean, myself included. Like, I have to work when I'm home. Like, I teach lessons and stuff like that. Luckily, it's fun for me to do, but you know, it's still, you know, you're working on stuff that's not like necessarily being creative, right? But like as far as the social media side goes, like I said, trying to get yourself out there, I've got no problem with that. It's when like you just don't have anything really to say, and like you just become sort of famous just because you're famous, or like, you know, you're a celebrity just because you get like a certain number of likes because you posted like a selfie or something like that. Like, you know, then that to me is like, all right, like what is the point to all this? You know, where's why is this person famous? They're famous because they're famous. Like, okay, that's a strange concept to me, you know?
Yeah.
Not because they did anything of merit, you know, it's just because like they're famous because they have like a shit ton of money or something, you know, and like whatever.
It is, and I think it's that both sides of the same coin, isn't it? On the one side, you've got that, you know, people who are famous for being famous, but on the other side, as you were saying, you've also got really creative people who are inspiring future generations. Where you could, as you say, you know, you can sit, you know, they're doing whatever on YouTube, and it's either an inspiring piece of art or an inspiring illustration, or it's somebody dude playing a guitar, or it could be somebody cooking, or whoever it is, you know. And there's people out there taking inspiration from that, and in years to come, they're going to be inspired by that person to go on and go into that, you know, that particular art and become a success of it, and because they can, and I guess also it frees people up to be independently successful, you know. I mean, so that's great, you know. Like, so I guess it's like a love-hate relationship, right? You know, like there's aspects about it that I love, and I'm like, wow, it's giving these artists like a voice, but then it's like, wow, it also gives like very sort of narcissistic, vapid people an amplified voice too, and like unfortunately, like people kind of like drink the Kool-Aid and go with like a cult of personality, sometimes just because of I don't know, there's so many, I think a variety of factors as to why that could be. I'm sure like psychologists are like writing like novels on it right now, but it's like, okay, cool, you've got all these, you know, followers or whatever, but you're just what are you doing with that amplified voice that you have? Well, I guess the thing about the great thing about the internet is that everyone has a voice, and the worst thing about the internet is that not everyone should have a voice. Yeah, it's just, and the only way, you know, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. The only way you find out is when you do it. And but having said,
my other concern with it is that, like, you know, like music and art, I mean, these things are also meant to be experienced. Like, I think you get the most out of them when you experience them live, right? So going to like a picture of a painting is not going to have the same effect as like standing in the presence of that painting and like just being in that moment, in the same way like going to see a show, like everyone's sort of watching the show through like a cell phone, iPhone screen or whatever, like rather than actually like being there in the moment. Like I'm not saying like don't snap some footage here and there. I mean, I like to do that myself.
Yeah.
But like as far as like I also want to put it away and just like be in that moment and appreciate that moment as well. So again, I think you can have both. It's just like the whole like seeing things solely through YouTube and Instagram and that being how everyone sort of consumes music and art. It's sometimes concerning to me because it's like, you got to get up out of your house and go like see a show and, or go to a museum or, whatever, go to a poetry reading, like whatever suits your fancy, go see a dance performance, experience it live. Like we're not meant to just live in this sort of digital realm, and when we're human beings with flesh and blood, we got to like go out there and feel those organic experiences. I feel like in order to get the most out of it. Some of the best shows I've been at, like if I go to like a weird like jazz show that's like they're playing like improvised music, I might never see that again, and like I'm okay with like not filming that. Like you look around and there's like maybe like 15 or 20 people in the audience, like it's a small show, and no one's filming and everyone's just experiencing it, and it's so beautiful because it's like this fleeting thing. This is never going to happen again. They're playing some free jazz for like an hour. No one's recording this. It will never be heard again, and it's almost like an existential kind of like meditation. Like you're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like truly living in this moment, and I'm okay that it can't be cataloged and recreated. It's just fleeting and it's beautiful, and that's kind of a metaphor for life itself, I guess.
Yeah, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And funnily enough, the last show I played with the band before we went into the studio, we're actually in the studio at the moment recording the new album, and we played a show the day before we went in. And just before, literally about half an hour before we went on stage, I said to the guys, "How do you fancy playing a new song tonight?" Now I'm all about not playing new stuff before it comes out. I'm just not into it. But I said, "How about we just throw a new song in tonight?" And everyone and the rest of the guys were like, "Yeah." And we all knew what song. We hadn't played it for weeks, and we were like, "Fuck it. Look, if we fuck it up, we fuck it up." And when it got to that song, I just said to the audience, "Look, do you want to hear a new song?" And they're like, "Yeah, fucking hell, yeah." So I said, "Okay, fine. On one condition. You do not film it. If anyone takes their phone out while we're playing this song, we'll just stop. And we won't restart the tune, we'll stop. And that's all you're going to get. So it's up to you." I said, "This is just between you and us. No phones." And they totally bought into it. And then in the social media afterwards, there was loads of people tagging it, saying they played a new song, and everyone was saying, "Oh, where's the video? Post a video." And everyone was just posting back, gleefully saying, "No, it's not on video. There's no video of it." And
that's correct.
And all of a sudden, it became even more exclusive. It became better. It became bigger on social media because it doesn't exist. And it's exactly about that, being in the moment and just saying to everybody, "Look, you can just stand and check the tune out. Don't fucking film it." And everybody bought into it, and then it got a new lease of life of people going, "Yeah, it's really cool. No one's got any footage of it. You had to be there."
But yeah, I love it. That to me is sort of the exciting thing about music and about art. So I just hope we don't lose that in this digital generation that's coming up, where like everyone is so tethered to technology. I hope there's always room to sort of turn off the uploads and stuff like that, and just be in the moment.
Yeah, just be happy to be there, as opposed to getting a kick out of taking a picture and checking in and telling everybody else that you're there. There is no joy in that. The joy is actually being there. Right. No, for sure. And I guess, like you say, that's what you just hope people don't lose. Right. And I know there's a kind of few celebs. I was listening to an interview with Lawrence Fishburne the other day, and he doesn't do pictures. So if somebody comes up and says, "Oh, do you mind if I get a picture?" and he's like, "Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, you can't have one, but you can have a hug." You know,
Right.
You know, you can have a conversation.
Right.
And he said it's great because it's a really easy way of weeding the people out who just wanted a picture with him so they can put it on social media, boast to their friends, get a load of likes and feel more validated.
Right.
And he said, you know, the people who are actually genuinely interested to meet me hang around and have a conversation. And that's cool because I've met someone and had a chat and they've met, and we've both got something out of it.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. Yeah.
It is. I was kind of like, wow, that was a really interesting point of view. But it's all about getting people out of the house. It's the same in comedy. It's the same in music. It's about getting people out the house and getting them to go to see, you know, live entertainment, whether it's music, comedy, whether it's art, whatever it is. It's, you know, don't just sit there and post on, you know, and say how much you like something. Go and contribute and become part of it.
Good for the damn soul to go out and do that, you know?
Hey, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm less religious than the next guy, but you know, if there is such thing as a soul, that is exactly what it is. It's about nourishing the soul.
Right. You know, hell yeah, man. I've got I think another interview coming up at 4:30. He hasn't called in yet, so I'm happy to keep chatting, but I will have to split. I just don't want to get cut off mid chat here, so I don't know.
Dave, I can't believe it. You know, this was going really well, and already you're starting to see other people. That's fucking outrageous, man. It's over between me and you. It's fucking over.
It's over, man. Hey, you know, this is the life I lead on the press trail.
Yeah.
I love you and I leave you.
Yeah, you're lucky to get half an hour. No, I get that. Well, I will come along to the show in December at the Underworld in London. Because Andy's been great hooking up the interview, and he made sure I got a copy of the album and everything else, and that's an awesome venue. So you guys are going to be, I would imagine, we'll be packing that place out as well. So that will be that's really towards the end of the tour, isn't it?
Yeah. I love the Underworld. We played there. That was the first place we've ever played in London. Was there with Dying Fetus way back in the day. So I've got fond memories of that spot, and just kind of in the thick of it there in that neighborhood. So it'll be cool to get back there, and I can't wait. It looks like he's going to call me right now. So
right, okay.
I gotta jump off. It was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure, David. Really nice talking to you. Thanks for taking the time, dude.
Take care, brother.
You too. See you in London.
Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye. And that was myself and David having a good old chat there. Hope you all liked that. It was fun, wasn't it? He's top man. And as I was going on about the album there, I'm really looking forward to you guys hearing it. It just absolutely shredding stuff in there. I likes me a bit of Revocation. Deathless was definitely the first song I heard by them, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. They just completely took me by surprise. So, for fans of and people who haven't heard them before, definitely worth a listen. Just had an email in the break there from a festival who look like we're going to be playing there next year. Can't say it's one of the smaller ones, so you might not have even heard of them. But there you go. Okay, that's how I roll. Now, I want to put something into the podcast now that was sent to me by John Sheehan. Hello, John. Thank you very much for this. You fucking dick. They know what they are fucking doing. They know what they are doing. They are fucking doing. They are fucking doing. Fucking doing. They know what they are fucking doing. and John would appear to know what he's fucking doing. That really cracked me up when I got that, and along with a message that just said, "Sorry, couldn't help myself," and I thought that was fucking brilliant. So there you go. I was going to say I'm going to be careful not to say anything stupid so people can't make a loop out of it, but let's face it, that ain't fucking happening. I think that ship sailed long time ago. Long into the night did that ship sail. So look, on keeping your wits about you and making this slightly different to previous podcasts, I'm now going to chuck in some music. Yeah, that's right. So this is a track by a band called A Ritual Spirit. The song is The Happy Ever After. They got in contact and basically said, look, do you still... it's A Ritual Spirit. That's the band, if you want to go find them anywhere. A Ritual Spirit. And the song is called The Ever After. And they got in contact and said, hey, are you still doing unsigned bands? And I said, yeah, why not? You know, I haven't stopped doing a lot of things. Which reminds me, I'd forgotten about the Bollocks back shit. I mean, you guys remind me of stuff that I was doing that I don't do anymore. So basically, if you're at a live show, sorry, A Ritual Spirit, you're going to have to wait. If you're at a live show, just shout bollocks, really loud, bollocks, right? If you hear somebody at a gig shouting bollocks, your job is to shout bollocks back. Okay, that way we know we've got some fucking listeners of Talking Bollocks in. Okay, so bollocks back. Let's hear it, and then please do let me know. Send me tweets or whatever, and let me know if you're, if you heard it, if you were part of a bollocks chorus. Anyway, back to A Ritual Spirit. It was Stephen Patterson that sent this in. Who got in touch and just said, look, you know, are you doing this? And I went, yeah, cool. So, without further ado, A Ritual Spirit and The Ever After. So there is a ritual spirit and the ever after. So go find him on socials. Really rocking tune that, and also anybody, any bands that unsigned bands, feel free to reach out and reach out. Fucking hell, I'm doing that again. Reach out, reach fucking out, Howard. Reach fucking out. Christ, sounds like a mafia sit down, doesn't it? If you want to send me an email, howard@allabouttherock.co.uk, or send me a tweet or whatever you like. And a link to your band, or send me an MP3 so I can stick it in the show. No problem, consider it done, as long as it's not shit, okay? Don't be sending me a shit. But if you do send me something that's shit, I will play it and I will say it's shit. How's that, okay? Is that a deal? I think that's a deal. And that is quite an apt way to go into the next interview, actually, because we are now going to speak to the Lord of Darkness from Sweden, Bjorn Larsson himself. Now, I met Bjorn when he was playing bass, and we were in Portugal earlier this year. And I mean, all of this is gonna come up in the interview. We were in Portugal. It was freezing cold. He was playing bass for God Macabre. We were there with Acid Rain, and Jonas, who plays in At the Gates, was also playing in God Macabre as well. He's one of the originals, and we just got on really well. Had a really good laugh. I did an interview for his podcast there and then. I said I'd get him on mine, and got him on. And the reason why I say it ties up with what I was saying about if you send me stuff and it's shit, I'm going to play it and say it's shit. Bjorn has the BL Metal podcast. Okay, it's very, very cool. The BL Metal podcast. Very cool. I can't believe I'm fucking giving everybody else's podcasts free advertising on this fucking thing. Anyway, they've all done it for me, so it's only returning a favour, really, isn't it? Anyway, he has music sent into him. He doesn't listen. He's not listened to it before, and he listens to it on the show and breaks it down as he's listening to it. He's very good at it. I mean, I think I'd say that probably because because I agree with a lot of his opinions on a lot of the stuff he's talking about. So anyway, here is mine and Bjorn's chat from a couple of days ago.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Is that Bjorn Larsson of the BL Metal podcast?
Oh, the very same.
It's lovely to hear your voice, mate.
Yeah, yours too, man. I kind of mixed up the hours. It's like a 1 hour time difference, right?
Yeah, right.
I didn't think of that, actually. I thought, okay, England is like the same. But no, it's 1 hour. So
me saying I could do it early is actually doing it late for you.
Yeah. About in half an hour, but that's fine.
Oh, brilliant! We've met halfway. This is great. This is pretty much typical of our friendship. We sort of met kind of by accident, and now we've ended up accidentally managing to pull off this interview, and we accidentally pulled off an interview on your podcast. So let's hope this goes accidentally well. Yeah,
and half of my headset just broke, so I can only hear you through my left ear. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Everything is just halfway.
I'm not even in stereo. That's incredibly disappointing, mate. That really is.
Yeah.
So anyway, how have you been? Because I've been. I love the, by the way, brilliant title for your podcast, the BL Metal Podcast. It's almost like you were so lazy you just used your own initials.
Yeah, but people remember like a metal podcast, so they can just search for metal podcast and they will find it. That was the purpose for the name in the beginning, and I think
it was a wise decision. But yeah, it's a lazy name.
Yeah, no,
Sure
absolutely. But it works, and there's a certain amount of synergy between our podcasts, because we both do tend to just pronounce on something, and like we'll actually put an opinion out there and stand by it.
Yeah, and the concept for my podcast is that I listen to tracks that the listeners send me.
Yeah.
And I don't get to hear them before I listen to them on the show. So when I hear them, it's really the first time I hear the song. So if I think it sucks, I'm going to say it. And sometimes you tend to change your mind when you hear something again.
Yeah.
Even again and again. So it's a risk.
Yeah. Well, yes. Have you listened to Anol Nakrath again, and have you changed your mind, or do you just?
Those guys were actually pretty great once, about 10 years ago or more even. But this last single, or whatever you call it, it was atrocious. It was. I was not expecting that, because I hadn't heard them in maybe 10 years, and they always sounded decent, but this was. What was your opinion?
The funny thing is when I was listening to it, and you were unable to hide your disappointment. Let's put it that way. I was laughing, because you were saying everything that I was thinking. Like just as I was thinking, like, Jesus, did he really just say that? Was that lyric for real? And you just commented on it and said, like, oh God, he didn't just say what I think he said, did he? And I can't remember.
I can't remember what he said.
No, I'm trying to remember what that. It's like one of the lines on his lyrics is like, I don't know. I can't remember what it was.
Something about family, right?
Oh shit, something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was a laughable cliche, and you were like, Jesus, that's terrible. I thought, yeah. And then it was like, oh, what's this, Machine Head? I was like, yeah. It was. Yeah. It sounded like old men hopelessly out of touch trying to play dude metal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And they tried to like hide that fact with like a really ugly kind of production to make it sound like cool and raw, but it was totally no imagination.
Yeah.
And just like that kind of music is supposed to be cynical, but cynical in a way that it just trying to appeal to the kids with the baseball cap. It was. I didn't have high hopes, and they still managed to disappoint me. So yeah,
that's brilliant.
That's how it is.
That's brilliant. No, it was. It also sounded to me. It sounded like a really well produced demo. It sounded like it was half an idea. It sounded like something that you might send to a band member and go, look, there's some riffs here, and I've shouted over it a bit. Let me know what you think. You know.
Or maybe there's some rhythms here. That was all it was, because. But I think a lot of like one-man black metal bands, they actually record everything in the room where they grew up. You know, they still live with their parents, and they make these black metal records.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't know, because that's the way I write music. Then my bandmates, we record everything professionally with quotation marks, but still we actually record it. But a lot of bands today, I think they do everything in one room, except for maybe some drums or some half-assed program drums. And some people actually get away with it. It sounds pretty good, and some don't. I don't know if maybe this was actually recorded by that dude, that Anal Nathrak dude, in his home. Maybe I don't know, but it really yeah.
Poor.
Huge disappointment.
Very, very. But we're actually recording at the moment and doing exactly what you said, like, you know, recording inverted commas professionally, you know, in a proper studio with a proper producer and all the rest of it.
With a proper messenger app and not so proper headset.
It's kind of. It's kind of hard to sort of pin you down to one thing because you do so much. Because you obviously we met in. I'll have mentioned this probably before the interview appears on the podcast, but obviously we met in February when we played the.
Or January. Or was it,
oh, January. Yes, yeah, sorry.
No,
You're right. It was January. Fuck me. It was like January the 5th, wasn't it? It was like. And we actually bonded over. We actually bonded. I don't know. We all kind of met and first started talking. We would have done because we were sharing a dressing room eventually, but we didn't know that at the time. And I do believe it was. You. You categorizing Acid Rain as fun thrash. Yeah, and it's like, you fucking morbid Swedish cunts.
But you know, I have an experience in fun thrash as well, so I'm not judging. It's just what it is. But it's I remember I heard Acid Rain. A friend of mine, he had that Pink record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's it called?
Obnoxious.
I can't remember it right now. Yeah, of course. And we totally dug that, and we had no idea that it was an English band, because to me, I had no idea that they were any UK thrash band, except for maybe Sabbath, you know?
Right, okay.
But we really liked it, and... But there was so many. When I discovered thrash, I'm born in '81, so I discovered it like in the mid-90s. That's when I started to discover Creator and all these bands.
Right. Okay. So you're playing catch up, right? That's
Yeah. And then you didn't really have the internet to check out bands either, so and learn everything. I had plenty to do with the Creator discography and the Sodom discography and the Destruction discography. So, I remember we listened to that record, but then that was kind of all the experience I had with Acid Rain. So, it was pretty cool when we saw what bands were playing in Portugal then, and you guys were playing. Oh, this is gonna be cool. And what I remember, it was. Yeah, I thought it was like fun thrash, you know?
You're right. Big fucking pink cover.
And it wasn't meant like an insult or anything. It's just I remember, okay, yeah.
No, man, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, we all ended up sharing a dressing room anyway. With varying degrees of fucking miserable musicians. And you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Fat fucker just sat there the whole fucking night, just not talking to anybody, eating, and then which is the last thing he needed to do, and then just go on stage and honestly, unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, and we're talking. Quite a lot, actually. I did like a little interview with you in that dressing room for my podcast.
I remember.
And that was I actually did my podcast in Swedish then, I think, because perhaps it was like the first episode in English I did, because
I think it was,
this whole year I've been doing it in English before I did it in Swedish, and and I remember we were talking about like the standards when you're out playing. I I mean, our room, we actually had no heat whatsoever, and our vocalist Pat, he was sleeping under something that was supposed to be like an air condition, and we thought, okay, let's program this. Like in 2 hours, maybe we'll get some warmth in here. And he was sleeping under that machine that just like blew ice cold air onto him all night, and he fell asleep. And we woke up the day after, and it smelled like mold. And it was actually not the worst hotel that I've been in. And it's like you actually do it because it's great to play, and it's great to meet other people and speaking to people from different parts of the world. And if you don't have that, and you just sit and moan and eat cake and being sad before going on stage and after, what's the point, honestly?
Yeah, I totally agree. And so you decided you'd get heroically fucked up before you went on?
Yeah. That's not the most proudest moment, but I did a hell of a show.
It was awesome, actually. It was from this band's perspective, you being as fucked up as you were was just fucking brilliant. It really was.
Yeah. But I have to because I know that after Portugal you were quite ill. Because I know I was.
Well. Well, I was. Yeah, a few of us were quite ill. That's an alarm going on for my laptop to telling me to Skype you, so I can switch that off. I mean, we were quite ill. I mean, I had a cold when I went out there, and it just got worse because typical Portugal being a hot country, when it's cold, they've got no fucking idea of how to make a room hot. So, despite the fact we were in a room that had loads of radiators in, I don't think they knew how to work them. And we had that one pathetic electric fire in that huge dressing room, which was lovely. And so I just got colder and colder. Came back, had a bit of the norovirus, liquid coming out of everywhere, and just feeling really shit. But I understand. I understand you managed to take it to a whole new level.
Yes. It was easily the worst 24 hours of my life. The trip home, because we went to Lisboa, and we were supposed to be picked up, I think, 2:30 at night by Joe, a guy who was supposed to drive us to the airport. And I think around 2, I woke up and I felt, okay, I really, really have to puke. So I ran to the bathroom and I puked, and I got back, and sometimes when you do that, you think, okay, maybe that was all. Maybe I just had something bad to eat, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that did not turn out to be the case, because then 2:30, we went out, got in the car, 200 meters, stopped the car. I opened the door, started puking, and I puked at the airport. I puked in the plane, and of course we had 2 planes, so I think we were sitting maybe in Köln or Frankfurt. I actually don't remember, because I was basically passed out. We got on the next plane, and I had a strategy that as soon as the plane lifts and we can take off our seatbelts, I will just go back in the plane, and I will stand by the toilet in case I have to go,
Yeah.
And I fell asleep during takeoff.
Brilliant.
So like a half an hour later, I wake up and I realize that I really, really need to go puke again. So I stand up and I look back in the aircraft, and there's a line on both the toilets. So I look forward and I can't see that toilet, so I just run as fast as I can across the aircraft, and those are taken too, of course. So I run back, and I just screamed to the personnel, the flight attendants, that okay, I really need to puke, and they just like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you, and I just start puking in my hands.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So that was not a good time at all, actually.
When you were figuring out your strategy, at any point did you think, well, if worst comes to worst, I could always puke in my hands?
Yeah. That thought never occurred to me. That was actually a good solution right then. But
what about the paper bag? What about the paper
out.
bags? The paper bags in the back in the chair in front of you that are there specifically for puke.
Yeah. Those are pathetic. Those are for infants.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. What you want is your hands, isn't it? Your big, manly, shovel-like hands.
Yeah. Of course. And they had. Then they actually found like a garbage disposal where they throw all the airplane food. So they just shoved that out, and I got to pew into that. And they are trained to always smile too, because they were super happy when I stood there spewing. When
you've puked in your hands, so presumably you now have puke in your hands, and you've got to like walk around almost like you're begging. You're walking around with your hands cupped together.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and going like, so is there someone? Yeah. Is this so? At what point do you go? Like, do they hand you something and you are like, excellent, and you're able to like open your hands and dump your puke into it and then carry on puking?
If I actually got there before I started puking in my hands, but both toilets were locked.
Right.
And they were like just looking at me like, you have to wait. But then I started puking actually in my hands, but I stood there, and then they actually seemed a bit stressed out for a brief moment, but then it just gave me that garbage disposal, and I just threw up there, and then they were happy again and offered me some orange juice, and everything was just okay again. So that was nice.
Oh, that's that's the God Macabre story out the way.
Yeah.
So what else?
Just one of many.
But what else are you doing? Because I know you're doing like quite a few bits, and like you said, and we can talk briefly about why I get to go and play 30-year-old death metal written by 16-year-olds all around the world.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because God Macabre, they were, I think they recorded, because I'm not an original member.
Yes, no, I'm aware of that, because like you're not old enough to be an original member.
No, exactly. And they actually rehearsed and wrote these songs when they were I think they were 16 years old. And
Right.
they recorded the album in Sunlight Studios in, I want to say 90 or early 91.
Right.
They're going to give me shit about this because I should know this. But it was quite early, but the record didn't come out until 93, I think. And then they already disbanded. So there were no more music. They just made a demo that turned into a 7-inch and a full length. And those are the songs that we still play today. And there's no new music coming. So that is quite weird.
Who were the original
that
members?
Teenagers wrote the songs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We're playing them.
But and also teenagers who are older than you now.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Yeah.
They are quite a bit older, actually. Yeah.
Is there any original members in the band?
Yeah, all of the, not the drummer, Niklas, because it's Per, Jonas, and Ola were the main guys in the band then, and they're the main guys today still.
Right.
And they never had a real proper bass player. They only had people filling in. So I'm doing the bass, and Tobias, who's also in, he's like the main guy from Vomitory, and he's also in Niflheim and bands like that. So he's doing the drums for God Macabre since like the reunion in 2013, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Per, who's the vocalist of God Macabre, we also have the death metal band Mordbrand, which is the reason they asked me to fill in on bass or take the bass slot.
Right. Okay.
Because we were already doing music together, so it just seemed natural.
So what's that? How would I pronounce your band name in English? Is it kind of like Mordband?
Mordbrand.
Mordbrand, lad. Sounds like something out of Game of Thrones. Come on, you got to go to Mordbrand.
Yeah. It's actually the word arson in Swedish.
Right. Okay. You know nothing.
I think, it was David Ingram, the old Benediction ex-bolt thrower singer. He played us on his podcast many years ago. And many years ago, he's had a podcast for many years. And he lives in Copenhagen now. So he kind of knows a little Swedish, because Swedish and Danish, it's easy to read Swedish and Danish if Swedish or...
Which David Ingram is that? Because I've actually got 2 David Ingrams on my Facebook.
Right. And I think one of them calls himself Dave Ingram, and one is David Ingram, right?
Right. Yeah. No. Got you. Yeah. No. I am not friends with the guy that you're thinking of. Yeah. Or lives in Copenhagen.
Yeah, but he's British, of course, and he said like Mordbrand. I think that's murder fire, which is correct, but yeah, it's arson. It's the same thing.
Right. Okay.
It's quite a shitty name, actually.
I don't know. You know, you could say your band's on fire. You know, haha, ba-bum. You're hot right now. And so how's the podcast going as well? Because I'm intrigued. You did say that some labels send you some stuff, and I'm just a little I'm interested to find what labels would send you stuff to slag off.
I think the beauty of it is that even though I hate it, somebody might hear it and like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I hate it.
Absolutely.
Which is perfect, because everybody wins. So and a lot of labels, smaller labels, are extremely interested in just being mentioned in whatever situation. So getting music is no problem at all. Mostly it's listeners who just, this is a great song. What do you think of it? You know.
By the way,
this is my band, which is worse, because I'm gonna flag it off if I think it sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely honest. I always tell them, okay, if you think you can take it, give it to me, and I will listen.
Yes. But you keep it real, bro. You keep it real.
Yeah.
Always.
But then again, it's like, how can you sit there and tell people what you think about their music when you're doing music yourself? Which I think some people might. I think you're doing the same thing basically, but you're talking about Dave Mustaine and all these people that probably won't get to hear it.
I was supposed to be interviewing Dave Mustaine last week.
Is that so?
Yeah, it was. It's not happened. In fact, that's coming out now. That's an exclusive for the podcast. Yeah, it was. I've tried twice to arrange it, and I've had a time and day, and it's got blown out 3 times. And now the dude has stopped replying to my emails, which is, the press agent. And I know the next email I'll get, if I push it, the next email I'll get will be, "I'm sorry, I don't represent this band anymore." So yeah, but no, I'm sorry, I cut across you there. But anyway, yeah.
No. But this was really interesting because the first thing I don't even know what I would ask Dave Mustaine. You know, I don't know. There's so much to ask, but what would I actually ask for the interview to go on in any length?
I think, I know what you mean. I think a good opening question would have been, "Hi, Dave. How was God feeling last time you spoke to him?" See where that goes.
And I don't think he would like that.
No, I don't either, because I would think he would say, "Well, what do you mean? I am God."
Yeah.
I mean, there's that lyric way back there in '86. What do you mean I don't believe in God? I talk to him every day. I believe you think that, Dave.
Yeah. I think I would ask him, do you still get bands booted off festival bills because you don't like their message?
Yeah, well, there is that. But he's played The Conjuring again, which he said he never would. Did that this year in June.
Yeah.
Did that this year in June, and I don't know, mate. I tell you what, when the podcast has finished, we'll have a little private off the record chat, and I'll tell you some Mustaine stories.
I would love to hear them, man.
Oh, they're definitely not in his autobiography, and they're not going to be on this podcast. And as always, if you're listening, people, if you see me out and about, stop me in the street, and I'll be more than happy to tell you these stories. But there's no way I'm broadcasting them. Bit like my Phil Anselmo story, which I'm never telling on the podcast as well. So I think it's really ballsy because it's like. I don't know. Do you ever think that people send you their music and you like it and they're pissed off because they wanted you to hate it?
No, I haven't. I'm also very thorough. I don't want to like manufacture like hate for the music I listen to. I want it to be like honest, because most music is just like meh. It's just sounds in my ears and it doesn't give me anything, but I really can't really critique anything either, because there's nothing here that really bugs me, but there's nothing special or great happening either. That's like 85% of all music is like that. You've got a very good point, and B, you're right about that. I think you played something on the last podcast which claimed that it was that thrash, and straight away you were like, "This isn't thrash." No, because it wasn't. Some parts were thrash-y, and those parts I actually liked. I thought they sounded interesting, like some sort of like technical voivod thrash-esque stuff. But yeah, so if I would just sit there, oh, this is not thrash, this sucks, and you just spewing shit all over what I'm hearing, I think the podcast would lose its appeal. I really have to be like provoked by the music, which happens actually sometimes when there's like a mystical slap bass moment happening in the middle of a death metal song that I'm not prepared for. Yeah, so stuff like that. So when I really say I hate something, or I'm really pissed off when I hear something, that's like the real deal.
Oh, I don't doubt it for a
when
minute.
I get really impressed.
Yeah. No, I always think that the worst critique, the worst thing that anybody can ever say about anything is, "No, it's all right. It's okay. Not bothered."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd much rather somebody.
That's nothing.
Yeah, you want to provoke a reaction, don't you? I mean, even if it's outrageously positive or outrageously negative, it's a reaction. For somebody to just go, "Yeah, it's all right," that would fucking break my heart. Yeah. Because
okay, so you're not feeling anything when you listen to my art. Okay, that's not okay. You're not saying it's bad. but you're not feeling anything. Okay, that's kind of a bummer, I think.
Well, you know, it is and it isn't, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, I don't know. I think I'm always trying to find something, and I think I've always been like this. When I'm listening for music, I'm listening for stuff that I haven't heard before, and by that I don't mean like absolutely complete originality, but whatever genre it is, I want to hear somebody either moving it forwards or just doing it really fucking well.
Yeah. That's one thing too. When you hear something, or you hear somebody do something that you haven't heard in a very long time, and they do it really well. That's really awesome when you feel that. Oh, I didn't even think that you could do this type of stuff again, but it actually works.
Yeah,
that is a pretty cool thing. Like when I first heard The Devil's Blood, the prog rock psychedelic, kind of not so psychedelic, but excellent rock band, basically.
Yeah.
When I heard their EP, their debut EP, I was blown away. It actually sounded so genuine and so well crafted and so well played that I couldn't help but think it was totally brilliant.
So in other words, the other word's exactly the opposite of how Ghost sounds.
But I like Ghost.
Oh no! After all that, and you go and like Ghost, fucking hell.
Yeah. I don't. The thing with me is I'm a sucker for songwriting, and I don't consider Ghost a band anymore. I actually did in the beginning.
Yeah.
But everything that happened with that band, but he's a sometimes great songwriter and sometimes good songwriter, and I always find some fillers on the records. But sometimes I think, okay, that's a clever move. Okay, that's really inspired. I don't think Ghost is a genius. They're a genius in marketing. Music isn't genius, but music is sometimes pretty good to great, and sometimes not so much. So I think I'm like more in the middle ground there when it comes to Ghost.
Yeah.
It seems like people are super fans, or they hate it so much that they can't stop talking about it on Facebook. And they actually, I've seen people want to boycott festivals because Ghost are playing. So Ghost is playing. So
I also think, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do hate Ghost, but I kind of feel partly mugged by them as well, because it's kind of like you may have seen a picture that I posted up recently, which is a meme, and it's not mine, but I thought it was a great meme, which was a picture of the Batmobile, and it just said, "This is how Ghost is advertised," and then a picture of the Scooby-Doo mystery machine, and "This is how Ghost sounds," and I was like, that, for me, that's exactly it. I think part of the reason I don't like them is I feel a bit mugged by, ooh, check out how evil we are. And you put it on and it's like, fuck me, it's Blue Oyster Cult. It's like the 70s have spilled onto a record. What the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
It's just...
Totally. And I get that. But don't you think that's exactly what Rolling Stones and Beatles fans thought when they first heard Alice Cooper?
I don't know. I can't answer for any of those fans, but I do know that I saw this, dark, malevolent, almost satanic image, and what I heard just sounded like badly produced children's nursery rhymes with a distorted guitar. It's just... But hey, that's... like I said, I don't know if that plays into it, where I feel a little bit kind of like, oh, you fucking bastards, how dare you look one way and sound another, and it's thrown me, so now I hate you and I can't listen to you with an open mind. I don't know, maybe that's part of it.
It's almost like the Foo Fighters. If you look at Foo Fighters music video without the sound. It looks like they're a punk band. Their faces, they're so angry, they're so violent. And then you listen, and it's like car drive music.
Yeah, it's a happy, it's sunny boulevard.
I'm on the countryside listening to some, this is just something from the stereo when I drive my car.
Thing about Foo Fighters that really gets me as well is that there's at least one song from every album, and you go, "Hey, that's a pretty decent tune." And I many years ago, I've learned now, but every time a Foo Fighters album came around, I'd hear the lead single and go, "Hey, that's pretty good." Buy it and go, "No, only the single. All of the others are shit." And I had to do that 2 or 3 times until I thought, right, okay, I'm fucked here. There's, I'm done with the Foo Fighters. There's always one song where you just think, oh yeah, and then no. So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on baby metal?
This is so. It's I really. Okay, so I have a podcast where I listen to metal and I have an opinion on everything.
I know.
And I feel I have to have an opinion on so much, but
yeah,
it's like I don't consider baby metal being in my sort of world,
Yeah,
like,
in your part of the metal genre, they don't really get any traction.
No, nobody. People rarely know who they are at all. So but it's like I think they order riffs from some more known metal musicians around the world. They send them some like loops of riffs, and they put it together in a studio in Japan, and then they get some music to play over that, and then they have a record, and that's also my opinion of it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's what you do, and people enjoy that. That's
it's
sad in a way. If you're not a kid, then if you're a kid, it's okay.
It's Japanese production line metal, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of taking it's a bit of Simon Cowell, and it's a bit of X Factor, and it's a bit of paedophilia, and it's a bit of and it's a bit of metal, and it's
very seldom I hear somebody slide in the word pedophilia, like you're not supposed to know the word at all.
I thought for want of a better phrase. Yeah, for want of a better phrase, I thought I'd just slip it in there, but no greater.
Noticed it.
Yeah, no greater. Meaning it's no greater a crime than nicking riffs, which of course it is. But it is. It's just I mean, I've said before. I'll say it again. It is just it's a way of separating metals. Metal kids from their money, and I just hear parents are into metal going, oh yeah, but it's really cool because it's great because it it gives kids a metal band to be into, and I was like, well, in other words, so what you're saying is no kids are going to get into metal without bands their age to get into. What an absolute load of bullshit.
Yeah, of course, because we got into metal as I think most of us got into metal as children. I mean, we.
Oh yeah, I was in the womb.
Cover, or
I was in the womb. I was listening to Black Sabbath when I was in the womb. I came out metal. I came out giving it the devil horn. Just chucking horns round the nursery. Baby metal's really not a thing, is it? It's I say that there's probably a new album on the way. They played Download this year, but then again, who doesn't play Download now? I mean, there's pretty much, it would appear to be, there's no barrier to you not playing Download. Just basically, can you breathe? Do you have a band? Great. Do you have a band that can actually play? Even better. Do you have a band and Pro Tools so it can look like you're playing? Great. Yeah. And that's it. There's the criteria.
That does it.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes maybe as musicians we give fans too much credit because sometimes when I watch YouTube and I saw like it was Sebastian Bach from his life, because you can listen to whatever.
Yeah.
You get some weird suggestions in the right corner. Yeah, okay.
It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. You don't have to justify your love for Sebastian Bach. That's absolutely fine.
I was just saying. Okay, so you listen to Canadian underground weird death metal band Mitochondrion. So now, how about Sebastian Bach? And I'm gonna give it a shot. So I put it on. I think Slave to the Grind with Skid Row it's a good album. No problem. Admitting that. But this was from his live record. It was actually released on record, and you can see that he's done all the vocals in the studio afterwards.
Right.
But why does it sound so shitty when you do that? It's overdubbed and it's not like cleverly mixed. It really sounds like two Sebastian Bachs are singing at the same time, and they're not completely in sync.
Right.
And people, he still got his voice. Can you imagine doing this live when you're 50, like he does? It's like, it's so obviously not a real live recording, and you're praising his live stamina.
Yeah, but
you're not alone. It's like 25,000 of you were praising this recording. So it's like, what? Every detail, when you record an album, you put so much effort into detail, and maybe 4 people in the world are going to care about all the details that you actually spend so much time on. It's only for yourself in the end.
Yeah. No, the real complex stuff, the real kind of stuff that you hide that is there, that when someone comes up to you and notices that and mentions stuff like that, you're kind of like, right.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. That's it. And
you get it.
And instantly those inverted commas fans just instantly go straight into the cool book, because you just think like, right, that's cool. That's no, I like shit like that.
It's like a friend of mine is in the black metal band Craft, which has some sort of like real old school, true kind of status, like they've been not very public and very highly regarded by people who like real black metal. I mean, he's heard praises so many times from people, talking to him. Oh, so you're in Craft? I love that record, blah blah blah. And he told me that once he was just at the pub, and there was this like normal-looking, everyday, average Joe guy who actually didn't seem to like metal at all, who came up to him and started talking about Craft. And that guy actually got everything what he wanted to do with Craft. Like, he just described the band the way he would do it himself. And it's like, this guy gets it. And it's going to be interesting to talk about the people, those kind of people that get what you do.
Yes.
That just, you're death metal, yeah. I love Entombed, yeah. That's cool. A lot of people do, yeah. But who actually connects with the music that you make, that's a pretty intense feeling when that happens. It happens not often, but it does sometimes, and that is cool.
Then there's the flip side of that coin, and that is listening to people, and that's listening to somebody listen to your song for the very first time and just fucking slag it off on a podcast.
Yeah. That has never happened to me, though. And I'm not sure, because no podcast wants to play my music. I think that's the reason.
Right. In that case, you got to send me some music, dude. You got to send me some so I can play it.
That almost sounded like intentional from me, but
No, not at all. No,
Yeah,
it didn't. If I thought that was your intention, I would have completely changed the subject. No. Send some music over, and then I can play it at the end of the interview.
Of course.
And then and it doesn't matter what it's like, I'm gonna slag it off.
yeah.
Obviously, I got to now.
Yeah. I deserve it. I so deserve it. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool. And now, you on your podcast, you mentioned that you're doing you're doing T-shirts and things like that because you want to obviously try and financially support the podcast, which is totally understandable. I have this one is supported by the wonderful patrons at Patreon. So people, are you aware of Patreon?
Yes, I am.
Are you on there? Are you set up on there yet?
I'm not, and I'm thinking about it, but I think Patreon is excellent because almost everything in the entertainment industry or whatever, because I guess, it's entertainment, but there's always like a way for people to pay. You can put your music up on Bandcamp, you have Spotify, which is a joke.
Absolutely.
Never mind Spotify, but Bandcamp or they can buy like a CD or whatever to support. Like the sole purpose is to support. They don't need the CD, but they can support. Podcast is a different story.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no natural way.
Well, the only way you can get money from podcasts really is advertising, and by that, if advertising, that you've got to have hundreds and thousands of followers and downloads, and then ultimately you're going to end up ruining your own podcast with some absolute sellout, ballless, dribbling shit like Jamie Jaster does every fucking episode. It's got to the stage now. It's got to the stage now where it's like, okay, sorry guys, just wanted to interrupt this interview just to tell you, these sizzling boxer shorts, they're fucking awesome, man. They keep your balls all lifted. Go to the website and put in the promo code Jamie Jaster's a fucking cock. And you could have 10% off. It's just like, I've gone over to Patreon just to try and keep advertising out of it because I just think it's just horrible, really. And then you start. I mean, I can't see any advertisers wanting to advertise on my podcast anyway. The amount I say cunt on it, and whatever. Who cares? So are you gonna get up on Patreon then?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, as I said, but to me it's like I only do this when I'm in the mood of like talking about metal, which I am quite often, to be honest. But to me it's like I have my SoundCloud account. I just paid the yearly fee. It's like 99 euros, I think. So that's like the expense I have. Sometimes I have to upgrade some cables and stuff for the home studio. Extremely huge quotation marks when I say home studio. Which is basically a sound card and a microphone and like a poster on the wall of, I don't know what I have now. Yeah, Slayer. So I don't feel. I just want to break even first and foremost. Just like the principle of it that
absolutely.
At least don't spend money on doing my podcast. And so far I sell merch for more than that, but not a hell of a lot more, to be honest. And I'm not sure I would want to have like a podcast T-shirt myself, I totally understand that. But then again, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Not so many music podcasts, and I'm getting so tired of hearing about all the you can donate money, you can do this, you can do that. That sometimes I start forgetting why I'm even listening, But I think if you do something extra for Patreons and stuff like that, I don't think it's a bad idea. And podcast is like a separate universe in the entertainment industry because, as I said, there's like no real way of earning anything from it.
No, I mean the only way is advertising. So the only other option is the other option is earning through advertising if you've got your podcast on YouTube, which I have. But of course, since they changed the laws on what you can get at, if your account can be monetized, YouTube changed the terms and conditions, which basically fucked everybody who isn't producing a minimum 4,000 hours of content a year. So they're
not actually after quality; they're after quantity.
Yeah, basically. Well, it's Google, isn't it? And Google has always been about quantity, not quality. But such is life. Such is fucking life. Well, look, I'm gonna wind up our official podcast chat there. Just have a little bit of an off-air conversation with you as regards stories that I can't tell, and have a little chat for my Patreon subscribers as well. But for now, Bjorn, I can't wait to have you on the show again already. And you know why?
Yeah.
Because then, when you're on next time, I can say it's Bjorn again. Oh, brilliant! Hey?
That's excellent.
Isn't it just? Yeah, you've never heard that before, have you?
Then you're gonna get Bjorn to be wild.
No, I'm really not. I've seen what the wild version. I've seen what the wild version of you is like, and no. How do people find you? How do people get hold of you? How do people get hold of the BL Metal podcast?
They can get a hold of it by searching B.L. metal and podcast, and where they listen to podcasts, basically.
Right. Okay.
And if they do it through SoundCloud, they can listen there. But I think I'm available at all the apps.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in everybody's apps. That's cool. Okay. Right. Well, let's just leave it there for now. And but for now, Bjorn, thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard. It was a great chat. It was a real fun thing to do.
So much fun, in fact, that we carried on and had a right old laugh. And that's all on the Patreon version of the podcast, the extra Bollocast, which you get if you sign up for Patreon. Anyway, I've mentioned that enough times, haven't I? I don't want to become fucking Jamie Jaster, do I? I'm kind of getting worn out by Jaster's podcast with all the adverts and all the constant referrals to somebody getting a check, and you got to get that check, and you're going to get the publishing check, and I hope they've got the publishing, and what they don't understand, don't do those deals, and I got some pitches, and he's always got pitches for people. Now, admittedly, without him pitching people on his podcast, we wouldn't have had the new Dee Schneider album that's coming out, so fair play. But that's the only thing that I think has come out of all of these so-called pitches. Like, I usually think of 5 and narrow them down to 3. Narrow them down to none, Jamie. I'm really kind of getting just, I don't know, I've reached maximum Jaster, I think. I've been Jasterized. It's just, and I guess that applies to my podcast too. I guess there's some of you listening now who would be like, I've listened to this pod. Why am I still listening to it? I mean, I was like that with Bill Burr. I love the Bill Burr podcast, but I haven't listened to it for months. I think I even unsubscribed, and I used to listen to it. He does 2 a week. I used to listen to him religiously, but that's when I was working full time and commuting. You need something to listen to keep your mind occupied, and that's where I was listening to a lot of that stuff. And I just don't do it anymore. Now I'm listening to the fucking Revocation. Fucking hell, what an album you've got to look forward to there. But anyway, back to podcasts and me being an arsehole. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm accusing Jaster of there is it's actually quite easy to do. It's quite easy to end up. Well, I say easy to do. It's not really for me because I wouldn't have anybody want to advertise on this. But it just seems advertising heavy. But always the topics always seem to go around to who's getting paid for what and how you're scheduling it and how you can save money and make money, and I guess that's wearing me down a bit. I mean, hopefully I managed to keep. I try not to drag too much of my bullshit into interviews, which I'm sure I do, and I'm sure some of you listening to it be like, oh fucking hell, not that story again. Yes, I've only got so many stories that I can tell on the podcast. But yeah, so I get it, but it's a shame, because I think it's a really good podcast, and he's a really cool guy and so well connected and respected with the industry, clearly. And has also done over 400 podcasts now. So, do you know what? I mean, who am I? Who am I? Because I'm a fellow fucking podcaster. I can say what I like. This is my fucking podcast. I can say what I like. I can say kiss a fucking shit. Hey, I can say that, good, no Pantera reunion. I can say that, Ozfox from Striper, wish you all the best, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a free forum to say whatever I like, and I guess I've got to be careful I don't abuse that privilege. But then again, fuck it. That's why I started doing a podcast, so I could just fucking sit here, spout off, and people would listen. And luckily, there's about 5 or 6 of you out there who listen. And that's fucking awesome. So once again, thank you very much for listening to every single person out there who's listening to this, no matter where it is, when it is, no matter what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whether you're traveling to work, you're commuting, you're on some time off, you're in the gym, you're using this to tune out your annoying boss, or you're using this to tune out your annoying boyfriend, or your annoying girlfriend, your annoying wife, your annoying husband. To any female listeners out there, let me know you're out there, because the podcast is a fucking sausage fest up in this bitch. Okay? That's all I'm saying. It is just men, and men. So, I am trying to have more women on the podcast. Obviously, I had Kim on last month, and I didn't manage to catch up with Kim at Bloodstock. Yeah. I didn't manage to catch up with Kim at Bloodstock, which was a really, really annoying. I was really looking forward to seeing her again, and we just weren't able to hook up, which is a real shame, but such is life. And there you go, there's a tangent. That's what you tune in for, isn't it? Tune in! That's what you listen for, isn't it? Me saying tuning in and tangents and going off on completely fucking bizarre rants. But what is it about festivals that make people want to wear costumes? I don't get it. I also, at Bloodstock, there was 3 girls walking around who were completely naked from the waist up. More of that, please. Less costumes and more of that. But anyway, I'm winding down here, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you haven't, tough fucking shit. You're a cunt. Here we go. It is the end of the podcast. That's right. The end. The final podcast. The ending of the podcast. And I am going to finish off with some music, which I have been doing a lot of recently, haven't I? Yes, Howard, you have. Well done. This next track is the latest track from one of my favourite bands. I've mentioned them before. That is Mammal. This tune came out a few weeks ago. I think it is fucking awesome. I think it fucking absolutely fucking rocks. And just check it out. It's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. Love you guys. Love you guys. Keep listening, okay? Sign up to my Patreon. Do whatever you like. Make a little musical montage of me talking in a stupid American fucking accent, or wherever the fuck this is, or even the German accent. If you prefer the German accent, we can do it. Oh, they know what they're doing. Oh, unless it's French, unless you want to speak French and you want a little bit of a French accent. I like my heavy metal. I like my your mother is an hamster and your father smells of elderberries. Oh, we go fucking Scouse. Great. Let's cover the UK. Let's do Scouse. Scouse, eh? Sounds cheerful. Sounds great. You know that someone's going to be trying to rob you, but in a cheerful kind of way. And then there's Birmingham, and Birmingham doesn't sound anything like fucking Scouse. It just sounds really depressing. Sounds like somebody's got something to tell you that they don't want to tell you, and they're just going to get round to it eventually. And then there's Yorkshire. Yorkshire, hey, Yorkshire, how are you doing, lad? How are you? How are you feeling? Sounds genuine. Salt of the earth. And then there's Lancashire. And Lancashire, you just sound like a fucking village idiot, don't you, eh? Can I have a carrot, please? I'm from Lancashire. Hey, isn't it great? And then there's South Africa. Your South African accent is a tough accent to do, because what you have to do is you have to talk a little bit like Michael Caine to get it absolutely right. But it also means that you saying words and you're speaking, but you don't sound like you actually want to speak. And then there's Australian. And Australian is just fucking shit, mate. It is just, you're a shit cunt, mate. You're a fucking shit cunt. And I just sound like I've had too many fucking drinks. And that's basically your basic Australian for you. And there you go, a little interlude of accents. And that shit cunt, by the way, is Aussie's favourite insult of the day at the moment. I know that because of my Australian relatives. But anyway, don't know what happened there. Somebody make something out of that, because I can't fucking do it. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for listening. Catch you all next month. No specials on the way this month, but yeah, as always, things going on in the background to get people on. So, until next month, it's been a pleasure. Remember, Bollocks back, Patreon, all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter, follow on Facebook, join the party. And for now, until I speak to you next month, why not have some Mammal in your ears? And this is their new track, Dead.
Can I save ya? What preach revolution, but you don't have a clue. Talk out your orifice in those. We're the solution. What's left to prove? Walk at the artifice in those. Now, look ahead, a mission finessing. You'll all be dancing to the riff and drums. I'm home, struggling with the workers. The weapon, get fighting back before you're dead man. You're dead man. New revolution. Their leaders are done, the truth died. Black another savior. You're dead man, dead man, a dead man. Reject pollution that you're fed down the trail. Fascist philosophy is new. Your philosophy. Now, shut your mouth, the system possession. Just sitting rulers, Armageddon.